For most of us, our foreign language learning skills come from the school system, which is questionable at best when it comes to effective teaching methods. You might know already by following Speakly's content that we strive to give you the best advice to help you start speaking language faster. And who better to give you such advice than actual polyglots who have learned many languages and who know the world of language learning inside out. In this video, you will find practical advice on how to learn languages faster from 3 top polyglots from YouTube. Enjoy! In the following video segment that I will show you right away, we're discussing with polyglot Laura Molishevska how massively important daily listening is for your language learning success, starting from day one. So people have busy lives usually, right? So we all do. So if a person only has 10 minutes per day, somebody watching and listening, what they should do to really help their language skills?
Okay, so I will assume that this person just wants something fast and doesn't know where to start and doesn't want to create a plan, just wants something ready-made. I think that immersing yourself in native input, like listening to maybe a podcast or just watching YouTube, but I think that it's not easy to find YouTubers from foreign countries. I know that it's very, very difficult. So I think I would say like trying out a learning app would be amazing because for example, with Speakly, something that I love about Speakly is that it is like all language learning apps, I think, are organized and they have this kind of their own curriculum or method that they follow. But for 10 minutes, I think that when you go to Speakly, like I'm talking to you, but I'm not biased at all. But no, really, when I open Speakly and I like something that I started doing so much more is the listening exercises. Like I said, I think in my video that just listening as much as you can and then just being like, okay, I listened, and understanding that it is something that also boosts your progress even though you can't see it right away. And then for, I don't know, the remaining 3 or 4 minutes, just doing some structured practice. I think that would be amazing because without being surrounded by the language, like the only reason why I'm so good at English is because I surrounded myself with the language so much. With French, not so much, so that's why I'm not advanced yet. But when it comes to having like such a limited time for a session, just listening and then doing some exercises just for 10 minutes can really make a lot of difference, especially if you do it daily and consistently. Wow, you cannot beat that.
In the following video segment, we are discussing with polyglot Lindy Boats how important it is to avoid the unnecessary at the outset of learning a new language. Your main focus should be only on the most important vocabulary and sentences of the language if you're starting out with your language learning efforts. This is really the secret key of achieving speaking skills faster.
So you have to be very strategic about what you write down. I wouldn't write down all of the new vocabulary I've seen in an article, for instance. Just the main keywords and short phrases. So it's a mixture of a lot of writing and comprehensible input and speaking practice for me.
For sure. My brain explodes if I watch a let's say a page in a book, for example. And then I have this OCD brain that I see the kind of statistical value or relevance of words in real time when I read them. And then it's like, if I should write because we have researched this in Speakly for such a long time. So if I watch, if I watch a word, let's say like a spoon, I would know where it kind of is in the real life statistical relevance of usage.
I hear you.
And then if I just look a page in a book, all I see is just like 89% of words that are never used in speech, and then some of them that are then that wouldn't even make sense for me just from this pragmatic point of view that I want to start speaking the language. I don't need these words for sure. Even like if somebody wants to be perfectionist, that's fine. But just to be very realistic about what I need to have a conversation, let's say in Italian with you, like 90% of these words are not needed. We are not going to use them. So it's it's copying everything just in a random way. It doesn't make sense anyways.
Absolutely.
It's just kind of what I need, and because people have like 10 minutes per day or 15 minutes per day usually to study something, a language, and if they don't, and if they don't reach any success states that, oh, I can say this now, then it doesn't float well. They just won't continue. You were saying this about person that they experienced. You had a call with yesterday.
Yeah.
They experienced that. Oh, it didn't go well learning from the beginning, and probably that's the case, that people are just surrounded with a lot of material that won't give them this instantaneous feeling of, oh, I can use something, right? How do you overcome this? Like, do you kind of consciously think that, okay, what is needed for me in a language, what is not?
It definitely takes a while. I think when we start learning, and those of us who are exposed to a school language learning environment, we learn what is given to us. Your teacher will give you a worksheet of vocabulary about the house and furniture, and she's like, learn this for your test tomorrow. And we are trained that like what you see is what you need to study and know. Mm-hmm. At that point, at a school education level, we're not engaging with it like, am I really going to need to talk about the toolbox in the garage? No, we don't think about that. And it definitely takes a long time for you to engage a lot in speaking activities with people to realize what words are coming up often and what topics you want to talk about, to move away from learning everything that you see. And then the other thing is that we're so surrounded by free information everywhere, and a lot of these sort of free apps and textbooks that we get are providing us with the same basic beginner content, which is great for like a phrase book or if you're just wanting to get a tester in the language. But you're not going to get very far if you're just learning fruits, colors, and greetings.
Yeah.
So what I do is I try and learn a basic grammar structure first, learn a few vocabularies here and there, and try to create my own sentences up front, and then practice using that with people. So I'm going to sound like a broken record or sound really stupid at the beginning, but I try and decide what I want to talk about first. And I really love the lessons I get online with my tutors, because I can choose the topic we want to talk about. And I really enjoy talking about movies. And my Hungarian level is super beginner, and I would probably not be able to describe the entire plot of my favorite movie in there. But what I do is I just think of the words I need to know to describe the movie, the characters, and I work with what I have. And my tutor is super encouraging by asking questions at my level. So instead of saying, describe the whole plot of the movie to me, he'll just say what you can. And I was talking about the movie Cruella last week, and I couldn't say that, oh, the villain has this dog that goes and attacks everybody. So I was like, there are two dogs. One is cute, one is ugly. She likes dogs. But that's helping me speak, right?
Yeah.
And more and more, if we keep talking about movies, then I'm going to get from the point of being able to say the movie has a dog to saying the character in the movie has a dog who has this type of personality type. So I take the topic I want to talk about, I use the little bit that I have, I build my confidence in being able to communicate to some extent, and then I learn over time.
In the following video segment, we're discussing with Polyglot Big Bong how crucially important it is to create a language environment of your target language in your daily life, so that daily learning would be integrated seamlessly into your daily activities.
I think YouTube channels or listening to native speakers is awesome in the sense that you have filler words, like small words, when people reflect and things like that you don't necessarily learn in textbooks or even in apps, and that's makes you sound natural. And also, that's just for the motivation. Watching a YouTube channel, sometimes you don't even want to learn the language when you do that. You just, you think it's the content is interesting, so you would just watch the video for that. But at the same time, you listen to a foreign language and then you learn new words. And sometimes by context, you learn a new word that you didn't know, but that sounds or looks a bit like a word you already know in another language. So I think watching YouTube channel is definitely part of my learning language routine, without being part of it, because I didn't, it's not like, okay, I need to focus. If you start a language, you need that time. Okay, every day I put an alarm and I have to study 15 minutes, just the language. But then after a certain level, you don't do that anymore. It's just, you go with the flow, and you listen to videos in Spanish, you listen to videos in Japanese, and so it really depends where you're at.